Hey everyone, my name is Wes. This is Interactive English, and the channel, it's just about trying to help you guys practice and improve your English skills when it comes to vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, a little bit of everything. And I really want to really focus on that practice part, and I try to make these lessons a little more interactive so that you guys can participate, especially in these live lessons when we do these. I do. I want you guys to participate in today's lesson. I want to give some quick shout outs. Hey, Putri, Lali, Gertrudis. Awesome. Great to see so many members. I'm glad you guys can join me. Hey, Rita, Mbe, Irahem, Phuket. Sorry if I mispronounce names. And as we go through this, I'll try to give some more shout outs as you answer some of the questions that I give you. Though they're not really questions. Today's lesson is about building your vocabulary. And we're going to be talking about groups of people. Because if you're talking about people, it is a plural noun. And if you're referring to specific groups, then those groups have names. And what I'm talking about, what I'm referring to, are collective nouns. So you will use collective nouns when you're referring to different groups of people. So this lesson, I really hope it's going to allow you to build your vocabulary so that you can be a little more specific if you want to refer to one of these groups and you want to talk about one of these groups. So I have, well, quite a few for you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a picture and then talk about what the group is. And then I want you to think about the name. So to give you a very quick example of a collective noun, think about, like family. That is a collective noun. You're talking about a specific group of people. And you could call it a family. So there are many different collective nouns. I've just chosen some of them that I thought were maybe a little more common that I thought you should know. So probably you're going to be familiar with some of them, and that's great. It's always good to review, and hopefully you will learn some new words as well. So let's go into it. And the first one, okay. So this one, as you can see, I'm talking about musicians. Okay, these guys they play music, and as a group, and look at the picture because there are different types of musicians. What would you call this if you're talking about this group right here? This group of musicians is called. It is excellent. It is called a band. All right, excellent, Gertrudis, Yingo. We're talking about a band of musicians. But again, there are different types of musicians. But if you're talking about a band, I think more of people that will perform. It's very lively, it's very entertaining. And I think typically a lot of younger people might do this. When they're younger, they form a band or they want to play in a band. Lale asked a great question. If you're talking about collective nouns, you're going to use the singular. So even though we're talking about a group of people, it's one group. So for example, like this band right here, in the band, there are many different people, but you could have like different bands. If you go to a concert, you might listen to 10 different bands play music. So if you're talking about like one band, like a band, then you're going to use a singular noun. So that is an excellent question. If you're talking about the collective noun, just using it once, then it's singular. But you could use these collective nouns in the plural as well, because you could be talking about more than one band, the bands. All right, so that was a good question. Clear that up because that is very, very important, very useful. So in this, let me give you some context with this picture. I couldn't find a better picture, but I'm talking about, think of a business, and maybe these people are the directors, all right? So it'd be like the of directors. Kind of the people at the top of a business or a company, they would come together and they would make decisions about who's going to lead the company, what direction the company is going to go. And if I tell you that these are directors, what would you call that group if you're talking about a company? And again, I know the picture is probably not the best one that representative. But the answer that I'm looking for is a board of directors. Excellent. Be happy, Phuket. So yes, if we're talking about people kind of at the top of an organization that would make decisions about like who's going to run the company, and this would be a larger company. If you're talking, somebody might just mention the board. And if they mention the board, they're talking about that group of people, the board of directors. So that's a good, I think, collocation as well. You might often hear that together, the board of directors. Let's look at the next one. Okay, so as you can see, this is, it's actors and actresses. All right, so I want you to think about actors and actresses. These people are in a play right here. All right. But I want you to think about TV too. In TV, there are actors, there are actresses, and together as a group, what would you call that? The of actors and actresses. If you're talking about TV, movies. All right, excellent. You guys rock that one. I'm talking about a cast. All right, great job, Angela, Yingo. Perfect, Lolly. So the cast of, I think this one is very common if you're talking about TV and you want to know about a specific actor or actress, and you will try to find, well, the list, the cast, like who is in the show. Perfect. So what about here? We have a group of people, and they are singers. And again, I would say that these people are singers, and really use that picture because you could have different types of singers. What would you say? All right. We're talking about a group of singers. What do you think? And again, I think this is definitely a good picture because in this context, in this setting, you're talking about this group of singers, you're talking about the choir, all right? A choir of singers. And often I think people are just going to use this collective noun. Somebody might say, I sing in a choir, all right? Or I'm part of the choir, or I want to join a choir. So some of them, I told you, you might use the entire phrase, like a board of directors. I think that's a very common phrase that people would use together. In this case, you're just more likely just going to use that collective noun and talk about a choir. So excellent. Keith Love, Lolly, Esther, Rose Claire, Gabard, Yasmin, great job. Let's keep going. All right. And I put these in alphabetical order too, not to give you too much of a hint. All right, so this one I think you should know. This is a group of students. All right, I forget about this guy teaching, but think about the group of students. What would you call a group of students? And I feel like this right now, like you guys, you are my group of students, and I could say you are my of students. All right. So if we're talking about education, we're talking about school, I think you guys are familiar with class. All right. A class of students. It's a collective noun. You're talking about a specific group, a class. Then we have these guys right here. And if you don't know what the word is in English, their job, their profession, these guys are sailors. They're sailors. They work on a boat. And if you're talking about them, sailors as a group, you would use this collective noun to talk about the group. So think about the person who's typically in charge on a boat is the captain, and the captain would have his what? He would talk about the group of sailors and that would be his excellent. It is his crew. All right. So if you're talking about a group of sailors, it's your crew, the people that work on a boat. All right. The next one. Okay, so they're dancers. All right, and I think more again dancers in this context like theater. They travel around, and you're talking about a group of dancers. What word would you use to talk about this group as a collective noun? And I tried to use pictures that would be more relevant to what I'm trying to convey, that collective noun, because again, when you talk about some groups, you could use more than one. So this is a of dancers. Okay, so this one is a little more challenging. I think of like a group of dancers that would go around, they would perform. You would talk about the company. It is a company of dancers. So maybe this one was new for some of you. A company is a group of dancers. Let's the next one. Many of you said troop. I'm curious. Maybe this one. Let me give you context for this one, and then I'll go back to that. So here you just see this is just a lot of people. All right, there's a lot of people. You would call this group together, just a lot of random people. It is a what? What would you guys say? All right. What do you think? So some of you had asked about the troupe of dancers. Yes, that does work. It's a collective noun. I think troupe, though, could also refer to singers and like really performers in general. But I think if you're specifically focused on a group of dancers, you would maybe use company. This one, you guys rocked it out. Yes, I was trying to get to a crowd. I think you know this word. If you talk about many people in one area, you would say there's a crowd, or you could use it as an adjective and you say that a place is crowded. All right. Then we have, all right, this right here. Again, let me give you some context. I'm talking about this person. If I say that this person, this guy right here teaching is an academic, all right, what would you call a group of academics? So think about a university, and you would have the academics, the people that are teaching, they're giving instruction, but as a group, they would be referred to as this collective noun. So I want you to think about university, okay? Specifically about university, and hopefully that will give you somewhat of a hint. All right, this guy right here is an academic, and he is part of a what? Okay, and if you guys are just joining us, we're talking about collective nouns and building your vocabulary so that you can be more specific when you want to talk about a specific group of people. All right, so yes, I'm talking about a faculty. So at university, if somebody's referring to the faculty, they're talking about the group of instructors and academics who teach many of the students there. Excellent language learner, AMS. A few people got that one. Letitia, who else? Yingo, perfect. So the next one that I have for you, again, let me give you some context because the picture may not be clear. This is, all right, let's imagine that these guys right here, they're a bunch of troublemakers. They go around and they steal from people, maybe they hurt people, and this group of troublemakers might be referred to as what? So again, I'm trying to give you a little context if the picture doesn't help. I want you to imagine that those guys right there, bunch of troublemakers. All right, they're up to no good. Maybe they're gonna steal, or they're gonna do something bad. But you would call this group a what? All right, what collective noun would you use? Excellent. The answer is a gang, all right? If you're talking, and I think this is a very common word to refer to this, and you would just use it alone, talking about somebody is part of a gang or they joined a gang. And it's a collective noun, refers to, again, people that are part of a group that typically causes problems. They're not doing anything good. Then we have, again, let me give you some context. This is a group of people, all right? There are two different groups right here. The red group and the blue group. Now, if I want to talk about the blue group, think about them all together, but I would say the blue group is the what? What collective noun would specifically refer to the blue group in this situation? So you're looking at all of them together, but I'd say the blue group, those people, that is the what word am I looking for? Do you have any guesses? Write it in the chat. I always want you guys to participate in these lessons. All right. So what I'm looking for is the word majority. So in this case, if you're talking about the collective noun, the majority, you're talking about the larger number of something. And often you are going to if you use it alone, then basically they know the context that you're talking about, but you might follow it with of people. The majority of people believe something, or the majority of people own something. And you're talking about the larger number, the majority. So if the blue group is the majority, then the red group is what? It's the opposite. The red group would be the minority. So the majority and the minority, if you want to get into talking about numbers, all right, which one is more? More people are in the majority, fewer people are in the minority. So then we have, okay, I think this is, I'm not positive, you guys can correct me. I thought maybe this looks like it could be from the running of the bulls in Pamplona. But if you have this group, and you could say it's a crowd, but I want you to think of another word instead of a crowd. If it's so crowded and people are packed in there, they're doing different things, and you might use this to refer to a group of people that maybe you don't want to be in. It's very energized, very energetic. And what word do you think I'm looking for? So I chose this for a reason, because I thought it was like the running of the bulls. And when people are doing that, it's a bit crazy. And what I would call that is, if we're talking about a group of people that's a little crazy, it's very chaotic, it's very hectic, then you would refer to it as a mob of people. So this is a good word if you want to describe a situation in which it's crowded and it's just chaotic. So maybe you go shopping and there are so many people there, and you could tell somebody, oh, I went to the mall and there was just a mob there. It was crazy. There were too many people, and you could refer to it as a mob. A lot of times people would use it in a negative connotation if you're talking about a mob of people, because it's a place you don't want to be. You don't want to be around a mob of people. Next is, again, we're going back to musicians, but I told you there are different types of musicians. We've already talked about the first one, which was a band. And again, this is a picture that I think is more specific. So think about these musicians right here. What collective noun would you guys use to refer to these musicians? So I think some of them very specific, and I think they're a little easier than the others. So hopefully this picture really tells you, okay, these musicians right here, they are part of the orchestra. All right, excellent. Gertrudis, Yingo, Abraham, Gay, Angela, Bruna, Potek, Lali, you guys, you got that one. Excellent. So, like I said, I think some of these pictures are easier than others, and I think this is a collective noun. You're probably familiar with these people who play in like more classical music. They would be part of an orchestra. All right, this one you need some context. So let's imagine that this man and woman right here, they are experts. They are considered experts, and they have come together and they're having a discussion about something. So if you have this group of experts, they come together, what would you call the group? And they may be experts, they could be experts in different fields. It doesn't really matter. They could be experts in the same field. But in this situation where they're sitting next to each other, they're having this conversation, you have a group of experts, and you would call this group of experts what? What collective noun would you use to describe this group? The answer is a panel. We're talking about a panel of experts. And in this case, I think it's quite common to use that phrase, and you're referring to the panel of experts. Or you could say that we're going to listen to a discussion. There's going to be a panel of experts on climate change. And you would go listen to this discussion. And then once you're at the discussion and you're looking at these people, people may then just say the panel, because then you know what they're talking about. But often I think you would hear panel of experts. Great job, everyone. Great job. Great job, Yasmin. Let's look at the next one. This one could be challenging, and this is honestly something that I didn't know before. I use it in a different way, and I'll explain what I mean. So you're talking about a group of police. What do you call a group of police, or even a group of sheriffs? So a sheriff is like a police officer, but if it's a group, a sheriff, a group of police, what word would you use? And it's an older word. This is more of a historical word. I don't think it's as commonly used today. So what I'm talking about is a posse. And like I said, I didn't know this when I was looking up collective nouns, that historically, if you're talking about a group of police or sheriffs, it's called a posse. All right, like Biggie Small Pigs. Yes, that is another term used for police. But what I wanted to get to is that this word posse, I think it is used today as a collective noun to refer to, in my mind, it's like a group of friends. Your friends they're loyal to you, they will help you. If you get in problems, they'll fight for you. And you could say this is your posse. This is your group right here. And I think it is a little more informal in that usage when you're talking about somebody's loyal group of friends who are willing to fight for them. It's your posse. So this is a word that, again, I really never used it to talk about police, but I have heard it used in the context of just informally somebody's group of loyal friends. They'll fight for them. It's your posse. This, again, let me give you context so that you know what I'm talking about. And I think hopefully you'll understand. This is talking about candidates. So in the picture, it's like they're selecting one of the candidates. Perhaps these are candidates for a job interview. They're applying for a job. But if you're talking about the group of candidates, what collective noun would you use to refer to the group? What do you think? And this one's definitely a little more challenging. All right. So hopefully this word is new for you. If you have, for whatever you're doing, you have a list of candidates and you're talking about the group as a whole, you would call them a slate of candidates. So I think that it may not be as commonly used because it's a very specific situation that you're trying to hire people and you have your list and I say, yes, we have our slate of candidates, and we're going to start the interviews next week. But we have our slate of candidates. And again, I would say in this case, you're going to use that entire phrase like a collocation, slate of candidates. All right. So, yes, as Vicky pointed out, pigs is not a friendly name to refer to the police. Yes. The next one, so a slate of candidates. Hopefully, this one's that might be new for you guys. For these people, this should be a little easier. These people right here, they're employees. So think about it that they work for a company. The company could do anything, but if you're talking about the group of employees, it is called what? And this is a more common word that you will hear people use in the work environment. You're going to hear this, TV shows, movies. What would you call a group of employees? Excellent. Yes. A group of employees, I think many of you may know this, it's called your staff of employees. So no matter what kind of business you have, company, you're going to have your employees, and that is your staff. Now, this is a collective noun that people may just say it individual. You don't need to say your staff of employees. You can, but typically people will just say the staff. You need to hire a new staff, or there is a shortage of people on your staff, your group of employees. Excellent. All right, here, this is a little more cultural for you. This is American football, all right? But no matter what sport you may be talking about, you're talking about the players, okay? The group of players is called what, all right? The collective noun. As a group, the players are, I think you guys know this word. They're part of the what? The group of players. If you could be talking about football players, soccer players, basketball players, any sport, but the group of players is referred to as the team, all right? The team of players. And again, most people will just say the team. All right, excellent. Give some shout outs. Amitni, Brando, Abraham, Gertrudis, Esther, Angela. So we're talking about the team of players. Then we have this one. This one could be a little more challenging, and maybe it's also a little more relevant to the United States. Because I would say, just to tell you what these people are, I tried to find a picture. I don't know if it's accurate, but what I'm going for is they are Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Right? And maybe maybe you don't even know what Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts are. This is talking about a group that younger children will join, and what they do, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, they may learn new skills. They do activities together, perhaps camping. They might go around and sell things and raise money for a good cause. And we're talking about them as a group. So Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, the group would be called a what? You're going to use this collective noun when talking about the group as a whole. So this is a picture. I was trying to find a picture of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, but if we're talking about a group of scouts, and maybe this was difficult, I'm talking about a troop. A troop, if you're referring to a group of Boy Scouts or a group of Girl Scouts, they belong to a troop, and that is the collective noun referring to this group. Okay, so I really hope that some of these collective nouns were new for you. Here, let me show you this just to review. So this is a review. This is all of the ones that we talked about. And again, I told you that some of them, I think you would just use them as the collective noun, like the band, or if you're talking about a choir or a team. They're very common. They're very well known. But if you're talking about some of the other ones, you might use the entire phrase. Like I said, board of directors. That's it's common that you would say the board of directors or the slate of candidates. And remember, we had that question before. if you're talking about collective nouns, all right, like the band, the board, you're going to use it with a singular verb. The band is playing tomorrow night. The board makes decisions for the companies. I'm using it with that singular verb. So that is very useful to know, a little bit of grammar for you. So I hope you learned some new words. Again, it's all about practicing, building your vocabulary. If you like what we do here at Interactive English and you want to show us some love, sponsor and support our channel, we have YouTube memberships, Patreon. Saw a lot of members today, some patrons as well. Always great to see you guys. Links are down below in the description. Again, it's all about building your vocabulary this lesson so that you can be a little more specific whenever you want to express your thoughts and opinions and really just be more accurate with what you want to say. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And just to give some quick shout outs here at the end, Lali, Yingo, Anna, Amini, Hunshun, from South Korea. 안녕하세요. Abraham, Nekla, glad Gertrudis. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm glad that some of this was new for you. It's always good to practice, 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 practice. That's a great way to build your vocabulary. Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next time. So long.